Hello, and I'm Melissa Peterson, and welcome to my masterclass tonight. It's the 5 hidden reasons why you're not losing weight. So I'm glad that everybody's here, and I'm going to share my screen and start the presentation. So just a second. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And oops, there we go. Okay. So the 5 hidden reasons why you're not losing weight, even when you're doing everything right. And whether you're joining me live or you're watching this recording later, I thank you for spending your evening with me tonight. And we're going to talk about something that I know is very frustrating to people. Maybe you're eating better. You could be exercising. Maybe you're just cutting back on your sugar. Maybe you've tried keto, Weight Watchers, fasting, low carb, counting your calories, or just you're trying to be good. But somehow your scale is not moving. Or maybe it moves a little and it comes right back. And so have you ever, asked yourself, what am I doing wrong? Well, I want you to know that you're not alone. I have struggled with this myself. And sorry, somebody's sending me a message. I have messages up for a group chat that I threw in to remind people about the meeting. Um, and and so you're not alone. I've struggled with this myself for a long time, it takes time, but changes and consistency can actually make a difference. So by the end of tonight, I hope that you'll stop asking yourself what's wrong with you and just ask a better question of what's actually keeping me stuck. Because most people are trying to solve not the right problem. I'm going to walk you through tonight 5 hidden reasons that I see over and over in my coaching practice. And some of them might surprise you, but it's my hope that you'll leave with something different and a different perspective on your health. So my story. So it's important that I'm not some person who is on some pedestal and I'm just rocking life. That's not how it is. I've been a group fitness instructor for 2004. I've been sugar free and processed food free since 2018. I've been eating a carnivore diet since 2022, sometimes adding in fermented food. I'm also an attorney, a health coach. I have 10 kids. And, people think that they just assume I have my health figured out, but that is not true. I've struggled with my own health. I have dealt with H. pylori, which is a parasite, a mold exposure, thyroid problems, hormone changes, stress, sleep issues, divorce, running a law firm, building a business, raising 10 kids. And there were seasons that I felt like I was doing everything right. And actually, I feel like I've been doing everything right, if not from 2018, but at least since 2022. I was exercising, eating healthy, working very hard at this, but I wasn't getting the results, especially on the scale. Instead, I just assumed I needed to do something different. So I just started asking different questions and trying to look to see what's going to create lasting transformation for me. And why do some people keep weight off while others spend decades losing the same 20 pounds over and over again? Well, those are the questions that eventually came my coaching program that I call the Becoming Method. So why most weight loss advice fails? I want you to think about all the advice that you've heard over the years. Eat less, move more, count your calories, count your carbs, drink more water, do keto, do fasting, lift weights, walk 10,000 steps, have more discipline. So my question is, if information alone changes lives, wouldn't everyone be healthy? We live in a world where more nutrition information exists than ever before. But most people already know vegetables are healthier than donuts. Most people know they should sleep more. Most people know they should exercise and that it's good for them. But knowledge is not the problem. The problem is application, the problem is consistency, and the problem is understanding why we fail to struggle to follow through, which is what tonight is about. So, the weight loss equation. So this slide is what most people believe. Eat less, move more, lose weight. So can calories matter? Absolutely. In fact, I started out with figuring out just a basic caloric intake for my clients because we just need a starting point. But it's not this equation leaves out things. It's leaving out stress, sleep, hormones, mindset, identity, relationships, environment, habits, food addiction, trauma, and emotional eating. And all of these things affect our decisions every day. So weight loss is not just math, it's biology, psychology, behavior. And until we address all these pieces, which is something that I address with my clients, people keep getting stuck. So hidden reason number one, hormones, sleep, and stress. So the first hidden reason isn't food. And that surprises a lot of people because most people assume that if they're not losing weight, they must be eating the wrong thing. And sometimes that's true, but sometimes the body itself is struggling. And so when we don't sleep well, when we're constantly stressed, when hormones begin changing, everything becomes harder. Healthy choices become harder. Recovery becomes harder. Cravings become stronger and energy becomes lower. And the goal isn't perfection. The goal is understanding what your body is asking for. So that leads us to the next slide here. Your body prioritizes survival. Fat loss is not your body's first priority. And I love teaching this concept because it helps people stop fighting their own bodies. Because your body has one primary job, and that's to keep you alive. It doesn't wake up every morning saying, hey, let's help Melissa fit into her jeans. It wants to survive. If your body believes resources are limited and you're under tremendous stress and you're not sleeping, or if you're sick, your body begins protecting you. Sometimes it means increasing your hunger. Sometimes it means conserving your energy. And sometimes that means slowing you down. So this is not your body trying to sabotage you. It's your body trying to protect you. And so if we can understand that, we can begin working with our bodies instead of constantly fighting against them. And I will say, I have gotten really detailed in everything that I track. And I also take my glucose and my ketones. And I was dealing with an issue with my children one day that was sort of stressful. And I went and it was time for me to take my regular glucose and ketones, and it was way off the chart. My glucose was really high. I think it was like 140, and my ketones were really low. And that was so unusual. Like I never get those numbers. And I think it's because I had checked it right after experiencing that stress. And so also too, like my sleep wasn't as good. I saw it the next day on the scale, and I know it was that way because I weigh myself daily just to track things because my weight can fluctuate so much. And I saw it on the scale. So I've always heard, that those things matter, that, your body is prioritizing survival, that stress matters. But I literally have seen it in data from my own body. So all these things really do matter. Your sleep matters, and how poor you sleep impacts your hunger and your decisions. So I get up every day early to go work out, and sometimes I am working out and I'm getting up at like 3:40, 4:40 a.m. And I can tell you on those days, like those days I get hungry because I don't necessarily get enough sleep because of when I get to bed the night before. So I also can't tell you how many people have told me that, they only sleep 5 or 6 hours, but they're used to it. Your response is usually that your body might be used to it, but it's not probably thriving. Sleep affects nearly every system in the body. And when we're tired, we get hungrier. And so we crave quick energy, we're less patient, we move less, and we recover more slowly. And we make different decisions that we would have had we gotten the sleep we needed. So sometimes one of the biggest improvements that you can make, it's not another workout, and it's not, it's not even your diet, but it's getting quality hours of sleep. Stress is one of the biggest things in our health. So chronic stress affects your behaviors and your recovery. One of the biggest hidden health problems today is stress. And when we hear stress, we think about work, or that it's coming from relationships, but it comes from everywhere. It's your money, your health concerns, your parenting, your caregiving, busy schedules, even trying to do too much. So I know what chronic stress feels like because I've experienced it in many seasons of my life, balancing my work in court, my clients, my kids, coaching, major personal challenges such as divorce. And during those seasons that I learned that you cannot out-discipline chronic stress forever because it eventually catches up to you. And which is why it's not optional. You must manage your stress. And it's part of being healthy. And I know that it caught up to me. In fact, it gave me chronic fatigue for a season. That after I got out of my period of stress, my body finally realized it could stop being in fight or flight and it could just stop. And so I would just sometimes have to just take naps in the middle of the day because I just could not stay awake. So it will catch up to you if you're not careful. It also will affect your numbers on the scale. Hormones matter. So I also want to acknowledge something that, many women like in their 40s, 50s, or even beyond are experiencing, and that's our bodies changing during perimenopause and menopause. So people will tell me, I haven't really changed anything, but I'm gaining weight. You're not actually imagining that. Hormones can affect and influence how we feel, where we store fat, our sleep, and our energy. But also, I'm going to encourage you because hormones are not a life sentence. Sometimes you have to change your strategy and how you're doing things. They don't eliminate your ability to be healthier, but many women can improve their health during this season of life. And it just requires a different approach to their body than when you were 25. I actually experienced this myself. I believe I'm in perimenopause, which is hard for me to tell because I personally, I have a partial hysterectomy, so I can't know. But I can tell you that I have been able to even lose weight during this season of my life. So you don't have to gain weight. You just need to change some things. Next slide, signs that your body's working against you. So your body will whisper to you before it's screaming. Maybe you're exhausted all the time. Maybe you're waking up in the middle of the night, constantly craving sweets. Maybe it's hard for you to recover from your workout. And maybe, you're doing you feel everything is right, but nothing is changing. Well, first of all, I'm going to say that a lot of people I see that they seem like they're doing everything right. There are still things that I can find and fix. But even if you were doing all those things, these things are signals to you that your body's working against you. So instead of criticizing yourself, you can get curious. And that's what I did because I was so mad that I worked so hard. I eat perfectly clean. I never cheat. I follow an eating window. And for a long, long time, I have circulation issues. So I have additional water weight in my body. So my body can fluctuate in 1 week up and down 8 pounds. And it's so, so frustrating. So, it's okay. I decided to get curious. I decided to weigh myself. I decided to track my measurements more closely. I decided to track my glucose and my ketones. I'm tracking how do I feel during my day. Am I stressed? I'm tracking my sleep. How much energy do I have? Did I go for a walk? What were my workouts? And I'm tracking all of this stuff, which I don't make everybody do, but I'm just doing it for myself because I'm curious. And I'm asking myself, what is my body trying to tell me? Because our bodies communicate with us every day. And so learning to listen is a great skill that you can develop. So action steps. So what do we do with all this? Well, first, we stop blaming ourselves. Second, we take care of the basics. You protect your sleep. You set a schedule. You tell your family that I'm going to bed at this time. I'm waking up at this time. So if you need something from me, it has to be not during those hours that I'm asleep. You try to get everything done and get yourself into bed. Put your phone away. Sometimes, phones can be something that stimulate us. And so if you can put it down for a while before you go to bed, sometimes that's helpful. Eat real food. So I work with people and sometimes I see them making healthier options. But I mean, if you're buying something that was made in a factory, for example, clean beef sticks, I'm fine with people having snacks every once in a while with clean beef sticks if they need it, but like they're still processed. So like let's go and get stuff from, the store and make it. And there are ways to do it that make life easier that, even if you're not a cook, there's tips and things that you can do to make eating real food something that's not horrible for you to do in your schedule. Move your body. I actually don't even start my clients out with movement unless they are already doing it or they want some tips. Or if they want to work out, I can develop them workout. But I think that a lot of people, they feel like, well, I don't want to do this because I don't have time. And the thing is, you have to have time to eat. Everyone eats. So you're going to have to prepare food. We may as well get you on a decent program. But like moving your body, that will come with, as we work on your mindset, we work on your nutrition, you will start changing and that movement will come naturally. So, but it is something that is important to do in life. There's some value to it, but you will not lose weight by exercise. It's just not a weight loss tool because you cannot out exercise your mouth. And that's why. We need to manage stress, be patient because your health is not built in a day. It's taken me a couple of years to get where I am. And I just started doing the stuff, show up, be consistent. And over time, like there's real change and it's big. Because disease is not developed in a day. In fact, I just did, I have a podcast called Built Not Burnt Out. And I think it's episode 11 with Dr. Anna Rosa. I sat down with her and she's a radiologist. And she is looking at people's images. And one thing that radiologists do is when you have an image, they're telling you what's wrong with you in the image. And if there's nothing wrong, they say that. Well, she's been telling people that when she sees visceral fat in those images, she's been letting people know because visceral fat, which 98% of people have, is what causes disease. So disease is not built in a day. It's built over your lifetime of eating bad food. And we have even more, if you have only lived mostly from the 70s to present, we have a lot of bad food in our diet. So that's why people younger and younger are getting chronic disease. Small choices repeated consistently will create extraordinary health results. And that's what I just said about myself. And it can happen for you. So as we move into this next section, we're going to talk about a tool that has stolen more joy than almost anything else in weight loss. And that is your bathroom scale. So let's go to the next one. Hidden reason number 2, the scale is lying to you. I think this reason has discouraged more people than anything else. I feel like the people that I work with, I talk to them about the scale and I say, you know what, we're going to look at all these other things. You know, how do you feel? How are your clothes? Do you have different measurements? You know, how's your energy? How's your mental clarity? You know, so I ask them all these things because the bathroom scale has way too much power over us and it really frustrates people. And I know it has me, so I get it. And have you ever had a really great week, you know, when you exercised and you ate well, you skipped, you know, eating bad food, you drank your water, and then you stepped on the scale, but it went up. So then your motivation, you know, it disappears because you're like, well, I just did all of this stuff and I did it right. And you're like, what did I do wrong? Or maybe you think, why should I even bother? You know, maybe I should just go have a treat. But the problem isn't that the scale exists. The problem is that we've allowed one number to determine whether we think we're succeeding or failing. And the scale is only one piece of information, but it's not the whole story. In fact, your scale is weighing not just body fat, but it's weighing how much water did I drink? It's weighing constipation. It's weighing if you have inflammation, which you can get from your food, you can get from your exercise because your body is healing glycogen storage. All these things can cause the scale to go up, but it's not because you actually gained real weight. It's stuff that is just in flux. So if you leave tonight remembering one thing, that the scale is measuring a weight of a whole bunch of things, but it's actually not measuring your progress because these are two different things. So I was already talking about some of the stuff. Your scale measures more than just your body fat because it's measuring. It doesn't know like whether you're carrying more muscle, and even the ones that are smart scales, like those are not completely accurate. I think the only way that you can know how much fat you have is to go get an image with an MRI to see your visceral fat inside your body. Your body doesn't, or your scale doesn't know that you're retaining water. It doesn't know if you're bloated. It doesn't know if you just had a high sodium meal, if you're inflamed from yesterday's workout. It doesn't know that your hormones fluxed this week. And it doesn't know if you just haven't gone to the bathroom yet. It just reports a number. So that's it. So getting on the scale after you've had Thanksgiving dinner, would you expect that you might gain maybe 5 pounds? Perhaps. But if you go on there after the Thanksgiving dinner, did you really gain 5 pounds? Probably not. But people believe that they did, and they're just reacting emotionally to every single weigh-in. So body fat versus weight. And so what is the difference? This is a big mindset shift that I like to talk to people about. Weight loss and fat loss are not the same thing. And I would much rather help someone lose body fat than simply lose weight. Why is that? Because muscle is healthy, bone is healthy, water is necessary. So if someone loses 10 pounds, but 5 of those pounds are their muscle, that is not success. On the other hand, if someone loses 5 pounds of body fat while gaining muscle, the scale may barely change. They may look leaner, their clothes might fit differently, they might be stronger, their metabolism is healthier, but their body composition, it's better. But that's real progress. And your scale cannot tell you that. It does not measure that at all. Water retention. Why water fluctuates. So I told you my own weight fluctuates up to 8 pounds a week, up and down, because of my water. And I think probably regular people, they would go up maybe 3 or 4 pounds. I don't know. But like if you have something like I do, maybe yours goes up and down that much too. So you can lose or gain several pounds in the same week. And years ago, that made me so mad. But like I said, it doesn't now because I know what's happening. And water retention is normal. It changes with hormones, stress, sleep, exercise, travel, sodium, hydration, constipation, and even the weather. And in fact, in the summertime, our blood vessels expand. And so we have more volume going through, and that can actually cause weight gain. None of these things means you've suddenly gained body fat. But one of the biggest mistakes people make is confusing temporary weight with water and permanent fat gain. And that's why I tell my clients not to obsess over weigh-ins. You look at trends, not at individual days, because your trend will actually tell a story. All right. One of my favorite stories is this because it completely helped change somebody's perspective. Somebody came to me frustrated. She felt like nothing was happening because the scale wasn't moving quickly. And we looked at her measurements. She lost 5 inches and her clothes fit differently. She felt stronger, had more energy. Her body composition was changing, but she couldn't see it because she was only looking at the scale. And I've seen this happen so many times. And your body will change before your scale will ever catch up. And sometimes that can take months. So that's why I encourage you to take measurements, progress pictures, and pay attention just to how you feel. And because if the scale is your only measurement success, you're going to miss a lot of victories. Better metrics. So what can you track instead? If the scale is not enough, what should we do? Well, first, measure your waist, hips, chest, thighs. Second, take progress pictures. Because sometimes we don't notice the changes because we see ourselves every day. But if we start with a picture and then we take a picture later on, we can see what's really going on. Third, how do your clothes fit? That can be one of the best indicators of fat loss. Fourth, your energy. Can you get through the afternoon without crashing? Do you feel stronger? Can you do more than you could 6 weeks ago? And finally, how do you feel emotionally? Are you thinking about food less? Are you more confident? Do you trust yourself more? Do you feel less stress or depression? These victories matter just as much as the number on the scale, and even more. I mean, mental clarity is priceless. Hidden reason number 3, the start over cycle. So this reason is one that almost everyone can relate to. It sounds like this: I'm going to start again on Monday, or I'm going to start again after vacation, or I'll start after the holidays, or I'll start when life calms down, or I'll start going to the gym when I lose a little weight. The problem is life will never calm down. There's always going to be birthdays, vacations, stressful weeks, busy seasons, and healthy people do not wait for perfect circumstances. They simply return to healthy habits. So the goal isn't never to get off track because, that just happens. But the goal is to get back on track faster. And that's what we're going to talk about next. All right. So the Monday trap, starting over again. I think almost everyone probably has said, I'll start on Monday. Or something like that, vacation, birthdays, holidays, when life settles down. But life's never going to settle down. And there's always going to be all of these things, unexpected events that come up that we're just not planned for. But if we're always waiting the perfect time to start improving our health, or, saying to ourselves, I just have to put my health on the back burner right now because this other person needs this, and this other person needs that, and I have to do this. You're going to spend your entire life waiting. And you're not going to be able to help people as much because if you can't fill your own cup, you can't help other people. It's like when you're on an airplane and they tell you to put the airbag on yourself first before your child. Well, it's so you can breathe so that you can help other people, because you can't help others when you can't breathe. So that analogy applies here. You just can't wait for the perfect conditions. You make the best decision that you can today. And even if yesterday wasn't great, one unhealthy meal does not ruin your progress. One unhealthy week doesn't ruin your progress. Quitting is what ruins your progress. So your goal is never perfection. It's returning to healthy habits as soon as possible. All or nothing thinking is the perfectionist problem. So one of the biggest mindset obstacles that I see with people is they have two choices: perfect or failure. And how this often happens with, you eat one cookie and you think, wow, I've really blown it. Or one cookie turns into six, and then it becomes a cheat day, and then it becomes a cheat weekend, and then you'll say, oh, I'll start Monday. But the problem wasn't really your cookie, it was your thinking. Because healthy people don't panic over one meal. They simply make healthier choices at the next opportunity, because the next opportunity is always an opportunity for a clean meal. Progress isn't built by being perfect. It's built by recovering quickly. So perfectionism is the problem. So why does consistency win? So because one of the biggest lies we've been taught is that successful people don't mess up. And that's just not true. Healthy people miss workouts. Healthy people eat birthday cakes sometimes. They go on vacation and they have stressful weeks. And the difference is that, they never get off track. It's not that they ever get off track. The difference is they don't stay off track. I've seen people recently, I check in with my clients, and I've had people going through some stuff lately, and I've been so impressed that, even when something happened where they ate some food they didn't plan on, that they didn't really want to eat, but they did. But they just turned it around. Like they just changed their eating plan for the rest of the day. And it was just to accommodate that. And I was just so impressed because they did not take a second to be off track. So consistency doesn't mean perfection. It just means returning again and again and again. And, you think about brushing your teeth. If you forgot to brush your teeth yesterday, are you going to just stop brushing your teeth? No, you just brush it today. Healthy eating should be viewed the same way. So the compound effect, small actions repeated. I love this because it takes the pressure off you. Because most people are looking for one giant breakthrough, a perfect diet, a miracle supplement, a magical workout, but that's not how they get transformation. And so transformation happens through ordinary decisions repeated over and over again, like walking every day, choosing protein first, getting enough sleep, drinking water, planning meals, and having food available at all times. These choices don't seem exciting, but over 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, they completely change a person's life. And so little things become big things. And I can say, just for me, I looked at recently, I was putting information into what I've been recording. And I went and I looked back at some recordings that I had from like 2 years ago. And I've lost over 40 inches off of my body. I've lost 30 pounds off of my body. And I wasn't even, this is just a gradual thing that took place. And I will say that the slower your transformation goes, the more stable it's going to be, because people who are really like pushing themselves to lose weight, those are the people that gain it back the fastest plus some. So being slow and intentional and just enjoying the journey is a big deal. Never miss twice. It's a practical rule. So you could remember this. If you miss one workout, don't miss the next one. If you have one unhealthy meal, that doesn't mean your next meal has to be unhealthy. So one mistake is human, but two starts creating a habit. So this rule just kind of removes the guilt. Instead of trying to be perfect, focus on recovering quickly, because that's how you're going to develop healthy habits. Reason number 4, you're fighting your biology with willpower. This next reason I wish more people would understand, because people believe they're losing the battle because they don't have enough discipline. But willpower was never designed to carry us through every decision of the day. In fact, I think we only have about 3 minutes of willpower a day. So if you think about the days when you've had very little sleep, you're overwhelmed, you're stressed, you've been making decisions all day, and are these healthy choices becoming easier or harder? Well, harder because of biology. Our brains naturally look for the easiest source of energy, especially when we're tired. And that's why relying on your willpower will not work and will almost always fail. So when you start building your life around discipline, what that is building your life around systems. And it's making healthy choices easier because you're putting systems in place that remove temptation, preparing your food ahead of time, and just creating routine. So the less that you can depend on willpower and the more you can just plan on your routine and making less decisions, the more successful you'll become. Your hunger signals, why cravings happen. They're one of the most misunderstood parts of health. People think that cravings mean that they're weak, which is not true. They can happen for a lot of reasons. You get poor sleeps, and there's parts of your brain that activate cravings, and it happens when you have poor sleep. It happens when you have stress. Habits that you develop, like maybe every time you drive past this particular bakery, you go in and get something. So that's a habit. Emotions, food addiction. I can't not get enough of this particular food, or I'm just really craving this food. And because those foods probably are processed foods and they were meant to actually addict you, which is a whole nother talk that I may give as a masterclass, but I think I discussed it like a week or two ago in our Wednesday meetings. And it's about why food addiction is not your fault. They actually make the food that way to make you want it all the time. Processed food and dehydration are also things that contribute to cravings. So, some people say, I crave sweets at night. And the question is, why don't you have discipline? I ask them, well, what happened earlier in the day? In fact, I've had clients, I said, well, why don't you journal when this happens and then what's going on? And then we could talk about it. Like, did you skip a meal? Were you stressed? Did you get enough protein? Did you get enough sleep? Because our job isn't to judge our cravings. We need to just understand them. And when we understand them, we can start making changes to avoid acting on them. So you didn't fail. You might think that you did with oh wait, hold on a second. I just got lost in my notes here. One moment. I'm on this slide now. All right. So restrictive diets. Restrictive diets. So when you start cutting your calories, and I did a whole presentation on calorie cut the other day too about why under eating is bad for you and it backfires. But restrictive diets. So you might think that you're going to be perfect and you eliminate everything that you enjoy and you eat as little as possible for a while. But then eventually you get hungry, you get tired of it, and you start craving the food anyway. And you think, well, I failed. And no, you didn't fail, but your plan did. Because you have to have a sustainable plan. And that's why eating enough matters. You can't imagine eating, if you can't imagine eating the same way you're eating now a year from now, then probably it's not the right long-term strategy. Health shouldn't feel like a punishment. It should become a lifestyle. All right. The under eating cycle. So I'm touching on this a little bit here. Many women believe that, and men, but mostly women really care more about this, that eating less is better. But eating less creates new problems because when we constantly underfuel our bodies, our energy decreases, our recovery suffers, workouts become harder, we feel more tired, and we become more likely to overeat later because our bodies are trying to meet its own needs. And so I've coached people who are eating very little and they couldn't understand why they felt miserable. So instead of cutting more, we focused on nourishing their bodies with enough quality protein and whole foods. So sometimes when you've been yo-yo dieting for years, you need to heal your body of the yo-yo dieting. And so we focus on actually getting enough nutrition. And sometimes that can affect the scale too, because your body won't drop the weight right away because it's like thinking that it's in starvation mode. And so it's holding on to stuff. So sometimes you could even gain a little bit of weight before you start to lose it, but it does eventually work when you're eating the right amount of fuel. So our goal is not eating as little as possible. It's fueling your body enough to meet the way that you live. All right. So going on to sustainable nutrition. Um, I want you to think about this with one question. Can you see yourself eating the way you're eating 5 years from now? If the answer is no, it's probably not a sustainable plan. Now, if it's eating a bunch of junk food, we probably just need to make some changes anyway. But if you're eating healthy and you're just like, yeah, I can't see myself eating like this forever, then, reach out to me because we can talk about it and try to map out a plan for you. Um, the healthiest people that I know don't consistently start new diets. They're building a lifestyle. And so they know what works for them. They enjoy their food. They don't feel deprived. They don't feel like they have to start over. It's a freedom, and I call it food freedom that I want everyone to feel. It takes a while, but you can be free from even like, obsessing about food, or you're always thinking about your next meal. Um, lasting transformation is not created by a perfect diet, but it's habits if you're willing to repeat them for the rest of your life. And so now we've covered biology, the scale, consistency, and nutrition. So now we're going to talk about which is the deepest reason why I think people struggle, and it has nothing to do with food. So you're solving the wrong problem. Hidden reason number 5. Like I said, it's the most important reason that I've saved for last. Most people think that they have a weight problem. Others think they have a food problem, and some people just don't think they're motivated. But after coaching people, I've realized that those aren't the real problems. The real problem is much deeper. And so think about this. If I handed you the perfect nutrition plan tonight, would that guarantee your success? Well, probably not, because most people already know what healthy eating looks like. The struggle isn't the information. The struggle is consistently applying that information. And that's why many people are trying to solve the wrong problem, because they're focused on food, when the deeper issue is their habits, their identity, their self-trust, their self-love. A lot of people are so mean to themselves, and they don't love themselves enough to put themselves first. Maybe it's the environment they're living in. Maybe it's horrible. Maybe it's so stressful. So knowledge is not enough, because most people know what to do. I don't think that I've ever met anybody, like I said, that knows that, vegetables are healthier than donuts. Most people know that they should drink more water, sleep more, and move more. They should eat more protein. The question isn't, do you know what to do? It's, why is it so hard to keep doing it? And that's where coaching becomes different than simply giving someone a meal plan. It's information that changes what we know. Coaching helps change what we do, because lasting transformation isn't about learning, it's about becoming. So, identity and self-trust, keeping promises to yourself. So, self-trust is one of the most overlooked parts of health. Like, we don't care. We just want to eat and have results, or move and have results. And every January, millions of people make promises to themselves that this is my year, that I'm finally going to lose weight. I'm finally going to get healthy. And then life happens, like usually a few weeks later. And little by little, those promises get broken. And after enough broken promises, something changes. And people stop believing in themselves. They think, I will never follow through. I always quit. I have no willpower. These aren't facts. Like, I just am a fat person. These beliefs are by repeated experiences. But the beautiful thing is that you can have self-trust, and that can be rebuilt. And every promise that you keep, no matter how small, begins with building confidence. So you don't rebuild confidence by making bigger promises. You rebuild confidence by keeping smaller ones. So who are you becoming? This is really the heart of everything that I teach. Most people ask, well, what should I eat? I think the better question is, who am I becoming? Because every decision that you make is casting a vote for the person you're becoming. Every healthy meal, every walk, every workout, every good night's sleep, every boundary you set, every time you choose not to quit, you're becoming a different person. Because weight loss is not the destination. It is becoming healthier. Because when we become healthier, weight loss will just follow naturally. And a lot of times I describe this to people. I say, if we look at the whole picture, 80% of what your body is because of your mindset. It's because of stress. It's because of mental attitude. It's from your identity, like whether you think you're valuable, whether you love yourself. All of these things. It's stress, it's emotion. And those pathways are in our brain, and there's science behind this because our pathways that are stress pathways are also our addictive pathways. So when all of these things are triggered in the wrong way, then we start, craving those things that we don't want to eat, that don't make us healthy. So becoming healthier is, the thing that we want to do because the weight loss will follow. And that's the 20%. So the 80% is the mind, the 20% is the body. And out of the 20%, I say 90% of that is diet and 10% is exercise, which is also why I don't stress out about getting people started on exercise, because that will come. And it's not a major factor in weight loss. In fact, it doesn't help you lose weight at all. It does other good things for you though. So I do it every day. I think it's a great thing to do, but it's definitely not necessary to start with, especially, if you're already stressed out and you don't have time. It will come in when it works for you. Your environment matters. So set yourself up for success. Healthy people don't have more willpower. They just have better systems. So think about your environment. What are you keeping in your pantry? What's in your refrigerator? What's in your freezer? Who do you spend time with? Most of us are not surrounded by people that care about their health and what they're eating. They're just eating junk. So it's really important to find a community or just someone that you want to be like, because we're like the 5 people closest to us. So if you're around a bunch of people that eat junk, that's what you're going to end up doing, because you're going to think it's okay. If you are hanging out with a group that goes out to the bars all the time, that's where you're going to be. And maybe it's okay to hang out there, but don't drink what's there. But, in seriousness, people, are they encouraging you with your goals? Or are they constantly saying, oh, try some of this, you can eat some of that, it doesn't matter. Is your schedule helping you succeed? So are you getting enough sleep? Are you making time to do the things you need to be healthy? Or is making healthy choices almost impossible? Because sometimes the biggest breakthroughs don't come from changing yourself. They come from changing your environment. Because your environment influences your decisions every single day. So what successful people do differently? From coaching many people, I've noticed something. People who are successful aren't necessarily the most motivated people. They're not always the most disciplined. They're not even the ones working out. They're just consistent. They stop looking for perfection. They stop chasing like the newest diet. And they learn from their setbacks. Maybe something happened that caused them to eat some food. And so we process that. And instead of quitting, they just start from where they're at. And stop expecting motivation because it's not going to carry you. Instead, successful people build routines. They prepare ahead and they just keep showing up, because that's what's going to create long-term success and stop the yo-yo dieting. So the becoming method, an overview of the framework. So exactly what is it that I do? I've developed this from my own journey, and it's because I used to be a horrible yo-yo dieter, and it took a long time to figure out how to break that. It's not just from the food. It's becoming the healthiest version of yourself because you work on your mindset. You start prioritizing your self-care, your physical health, your habits, your environment. You make sure that you don't have the things in your environment that are going to sabotage you, and you put things in your environment that are beneficial to you. And ultimately your identity. I used to have a really low view of myself, and now it's just so much better because I've used tools such as affirmations, realizing what I'm grateful for every single day. For me, faith is important. I read my Bible every day. I have increased my identity, and I know that I'm valuable, and I know that I'm worthy, and I don't settle for less. But I used to, and that I think was a big contributor to when I fixed that about myself. And I shouldn't say fix because it's a journey. I think we're always on a journey to grow until we die. But it's what creates the lasting change. It's what keeps people from falling away from their eating plans. Lasting transformation happens from the inside out. And when we become healthier people, our healthier choices become more natural because we care about it and we want to take care of ourselves. And that's very different than relying on willpower. So the hidden reasons review. So our key takeaways. Number one, hormones, sleep, and stress matter more than most people realize. 2, the scale does not tell the whole story. 3, the start over cycle keeps people stuck. 4, you can't rely on willpower forever. And 5, many people are trying to solve the wrong problem. If you remember nothing else from tonight, remember this. You're not broken, you're not lazy, and you don't need another diet. You just need to approach things differently. So client results. So I kind of want to give you a couple examples of just, every client starts in a different place. Some want to lose 10 pounds, some might need to lose 100. But some people are struggling with their blood sugar. Some people are struggling with fatigue. And some people are just frustrated because they're doing everything right and they're not seeing any results. So one client I have has lost 17 pounds and continues to make steady progress toward their goal. Another lost 5 inches while improving body composition, confidence, and energy, even though the scale wasn't moving as quickly. Another lost 3.5 inches in just a few weeks by focusing on consistency and not worrying about being perfect. So I've watched clients improve blood sugar, increase their energy, reduce food cravings, and develop a healthier relationship with food. And if I'm honest, the thing that I'm most proud about is not their weight loss. They're not feeling controlled by food. They feel like they can trust themselves. They're feeling more calm and peaceful, and they're feeling hopeful. And that's what lasting transformation looks like. Weight loss is really great, but helping someone build a healthier life and to increase their joy and peace is why I do this. So what happens next? So if tonight resonated with you and you see yourself somewhere in these 5 hidden reasons, I want you to know that you don't have to figure this out alone. And that's why I have this becoming method. Some people need accountability and some really need some education. I mean, sometimes we just don't know. And sometimes we need to help people with their identity because that's what's holding them back. And that's what coaching provides. Whether you do one-on-one coaching, group coaching, or another opportunity to work with me, I would love to help you create a plan that's built around you and not some one-size-fits-all diet. So I thank you guys so much for spending your evening with me. And if you're listening to this recording, I thank you for your time. And I really, truly hope that I've left you feeling encouraged. Not because of another nutrition rule, but because you understand that lasting transformation is possible. So, if you guys have any questions, now I will take them. So I'm going to turn off my screen sharing and we're back on. I see there's something in the chat. Let me see. Oh yes, lymphedema. I feel like I've had something like that. I don't know that I have lymphedema myself, but I have found I wear compression pants and they help out great. Um, but like that might be something to see like a health professional, but that definitely can affect your scale. And and it can affect a lot of things. Um, and Oh, thanks for listening, Kelly. I appreciate that you were here. I check my glucose and my ketones at home. I have this thing. Let me grab it. Now, I think there's a few because I'm not diabetic, so like I don't have a prescription. But this thing is called the Keto Mojo, and it comes with two sets of strips. There are different colors here, like one is blue and one is brown. And the brown one, I believe, is the glucose there. And the blue one is ketones. And so all I do is I prick my finger and I open this, I put the strip in. I prick my finger first because once it beeps, it seems like it only has so long that I can do the test. And then it'll tell me what it is. And then I have an app on my phone that will calculate my GKI, and it'll tell me whether I'm in like ketosis, because ketosis is something that when you're in it, it means that your body's switched from using glucose to ketones, and then it's fat burning. The ketones are fat burning, so it tells you like whether your body has gone to fat burning. And so I don't have any clients right now that are doing this, but I have suggested it to some people that they could get this. And I think that they're on Amazon. So it's Keto, Keto Mojo. And I don't get any money or anything from them. I just have this product. And I think you can buy it for like 59 bucks. I'm not sure if the exact price on Amazon. So you can find them there, or you can go, they have their own website and you can check that. And you can read on the subject, but or if you're working with me, I can help you tweak that stuff. But I've seen from some people, when you're constantly eating all day long, like you never get to that fat burning stage because your body's always burning the fuel that you put in it. Even if it's protein, your body converts that to carbohydrates. And so your body's always burning the glucose. So if you want to switch to your body burning its fat, then you have to turn off the eating sometimes. And so like, I encourage people to have an eating window. So that's kind of how I do it. And I've been tracking it a lot, and I've been seeing improvements in my glucose and my ketones over time. And it's taken time. And also, when your body has a lot of visceral fat, it's hard to get that change as well. And as you lose visceral fat from just doing the better things with your lifestyle and getting rid of that fat that's around your organs, it does help with your blood work. So because like I said, visceral fat's like the beginning of chronic disease. And if you see it, you can catch that before it turns to actual disease. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Well, I'm going to turn off the recording, and I thank you all for being here. Oops. Maybe I'm going to turn off the recording. I'm trying to get it to come up. Here we go.